Hey fellas, your commissioner here, coming at you for a little week 12 of NFL action. As you can see here, I got a little bit of a different attire. Hey, go Colts, right? Um, he's good players. Got really good players on the Colts, especially this guy. Really good players. We'll get into that when we get into it. A little bit more on that later. Start off the Hogs, of course, football, they lost to Texas. I never really felt like we had a strong chance of winning that game. We fought. We didn't get blown out. I mean, good bounce back, I guess, and a bounce back loss from getting our shit pumped by Ole Miss. Basketball team won a couple games against some shittier opponents. Not great. How are you gonna know whenever you need to come in?
Just open it.
Just open it.
I'll hear
You sure?
you.
All right. Erica had to close the door. She's gonna watch some Netflix. She's gonna make a special appearance this week. Again. So better late than never, right? Better late than never. But the basketball team, they look okay. It's kind of mid, in my opinion. This team still early, right? Still got some chances to work through here. You're gonna get a little bit of liquored up Commish too. I'm on vacation. All right, hey, vacation starts today. So heading down to Houston this weekend or tomorrow morning actually. Hang out with some boys down there and have a good time. So hey, why not get the party started early, right? Getting pretty good at making these old fashions too. It's pretty nice. So had to switch to Jack Daniels. Finally ran out of that Maker's Mark that Wilson was so kind to bequeath me. Wilson, he's just the gift that keeps on giving. Am I right? For not just me, for a lot of people. So.
So Commissioner here, coming at ya for a little week. Just kidding. It's me. Cheers. It is I, the reigning points against champion, coming at you from Flo's Fury's headquarters, her room. She's very gracious enough to let me use this space to address you all. I wanted to get on a video here and say hello to all you, but to mainly address, a couple things. First of all, Laz being like, oh, no one watches my videos. No one watches my videos. Well, maybe it's because they don't want to see your mug that much, okay? We love seeing Erica, but we kind of want to see some dudes, all right? This is a dudes league run by dudes, for dudes. I mean, gay or straight, dudes love dudes. Let's just be honest, call it what it is, okay? We need more dudes on the vids, so I stepped up to be that dude. But bring that wood. We had a couple trades recently. One happened a couple weeks ago, was kind of, it was okay. It was not that good. Between me and Plunk, I was trying to avoid the snake oil salesman of, Sir Nicholas and the now father Blaine. Those are two patent snake oil salesmen, but I discovered a new one myself. So, as much as I love Deontay Johnson, and as much as Nick keeps telling me to cut him, Nick keeps saying, he's cut bait. Plunk wanted to cut him. He's cut bait. You better cut him. He's cut bait. I'm like, he's not fucking cut bait. Well, guess what? He is fucking cut bait. But I can't let him go. I can't let Nick be right, but he's probably going to be cut. Other than that, trades have been here and there. Oh, actually, Savoy had a good trade a while back. He was, he's down there, but his team is coming up. He's got some dudes, okay? Dudes. Let me think. I mean, Duncan, fucking Duncan, what, 7-4? How the fuck? He was like not 7-4 a couple weeks ago, okay? But Duncan's up there. What the fuck? We got Ian. Ian, he's down, but he always finds a way. JD, same thing. He always finds a way. Excuse me. Who else do we got? Oh, well, down there at the bottom, it's myself, Josh, and the commissioner basically sucking and fucking each other all the way to horse's ass, per usual. And of course, you know, Plunk, Master Plunk at the top, whatever, Blaine, whatever. He's bitching and moaning. Well, guess what? He's right the fuck up there too. You know, it's been a great season. We've only got, what, a couple weeks left, but, you know. Oh, here's what I'm gonna do next year. I'm gonna quit the league and rejoin it, just so I can be like Hawk and D Shade and miraculously have one of the best teams and make the playoffs on their first year. No, but I love you guys. I had to hop in here to bring that wood. Been a great season. We'll see y'all soon.
I'm going to get more on that later, right? More on that later. Let's go ahead and start off. What was our game of the week? What was the game of the week? Quick, 5 fabbed. Anybody who can tell me the game of the week before I tell you myself. Tick tock, tick tock. 7 views last week, not bad. Ticking up a little bit. Oh yeah, the raw sugar, old fashioned, right? Should have known. So we'll go with Patty Mahomes there. Patty, old Blaine Hill, Mr. Blaine Hill, the Swamp Donkeys, of course. First 200-point game in years. We've had people flirt with it. The Swamp Donkeys finally eclipsed the 200-century mark, 202 to 113. Huge win for the Swamp Donkeys. Our back-to-back champ gets himself to 5-6, drops Nick to 5-6. You know, outside of Bo Nix for Nick, not great, not a lot of production anywhere. You know, a couple of running backs did pretty solid, 20 points apiece from them. Got nothing out of his tight end, Tucker Kraft. You know, nothing out of the flex, really. Wish he had done this shit last week. That would have been fun. And for Blaine, I mean, Amon-Ra had 42 points. You know, Puka looks great, 30 points. Njoku, 20 points. Taysom Hill, the guy, Taysom, 43 points. Just as we all predicted. And it's just quite poetic. It's quite poetic justice for Taysom to do this against Nick, against Mr. Wheels. You know, Taysom's been a hotly contested fantasy asset over the last several years. What is he? He's positionless, right? Positionless football, right? It's all the rage these days with the kids. And Nick embroiled himself in that controversy several years ago. And, you know, of course, I pick him up this season at the beginning of the season, and controversy again. He can only be played in the flex. JD, obviously, last week played him ineligibly at the tight end position and dropped him. Maybe because of that, maybe not. Who knows? Taysom's really done not much all season. And sure enough, what do you know? He finally has his big blow-up game, 44 points, leading to the route. I mean, anytime you got two guys combined for 85 points, you're going to have a good time. And when you're on the flip side of that, you're going to have a bad time, right? So all the rest of his guys, just kind of solid. A little bit of an underwhelming game for Bijan. But really, other than that, I mean, just every other player, and Tank Dell, obviously a little bit of a disappointment, but every other player was pretty much above 20 points and then some. And, you know, for Nick, I mean, his wide receiver core really let him down. Jaden Reed was a disappointment. Tillman came crashing back down to reality. Garrett Wilson came crashing back down to reality. He had no Marv. You know, you can't start Waddle. Waddle stinks. So, you know, like I said, for Nick, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for him to make the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue to lose, to be quite honest with you. Let's see. Moving on here, we'll go with Keeping the faith versus the golden path. Obviously, Savoy had a dumpster fire of a week last week in week 10, or 2 weeks ago in week 10, 88 points. I could feel in my plums that he was going to have a strong bounce back week. T. Higgins coming back. I called that. T. Higgins drops 32 points in his return. However, too little too late, right? I dropped 179 to 136. My highest point total on the season by a really fair margin. And it was just a little bit too much to overcome for old Savoy. Savoy had a good week. Savoy's capable of having winning weeks. 136 is going to get you a win a lot of times in this league, a lot of weeks. 136 will get you a win. Unfortunately for him, this week was not one of those weeks. And really, it's unfortunate for him because he was the 5th highest scorer on the week, and he walks away with an L and falls to 3-6, or 3-8. Excuse me, 3-8. Meanwhile, I get to 5-6, bust my little losing streak I was on there. Savoy's now dropped 2 in a row, so he was 3-6. That's where I was getting that. I thought so. Now he's 3-8. He's lost 2 in a row. That's how that works. How math works there. I don't think I talked about the winning streaks for playing, but not a lot. Not a lot going on there for him. Really, Jay Herbo has been a godsend for me. Almost wore his jersey tonight to commemorate the performance that he's put up. 37 points from him. He's running the ball. He's throwing the ball. Everything looks great. Jerry Jeudy had his best game of the season, best game in a long time for him. CMC's not really gotten going his first 2 weeks, and he's still putting up 18 points, 17 points the last 2 weeks. Just imagine whenever he's kind of fully back in the swing of things, what he's going to be capable of. Sutton and DK, just okay weeks. Bowers obviously went absolutely nuclear. 36 points. Lad McConkey, also a great game there on Monday night. I really didn't have many lineup decisions to make, and I can't stress to you guys enough how close I was. I had my finger on the fucking trigger to swap out Jerry Jeudy for Ricky Pearsall. I almost did it. I was looking up YouTube videos. I was reading articles. I was looking for something to tell me to put in Ricky Pearsall. And I found, especially with Kittle being out, it was a no-brainer. That's what the data says. That's what the data says you should do. Ricky Pearsall, no George Kittle. Seattle's defense has not been good against perimeter wide receivers. You never know what you're going to get out of Cleveland Browns. And what stopped me was the fact that I literally was in this same position just 2 weeks ago in week 10, where I had Ricky Pearsall in all week, and I decided I was going to be big galaxy brain and swap him for Parker Washington. And Parker Washington proceeded to put up a fat 0 points in my lineup. And you know what? I told myself, I was like, I am going to live or die with this, with what this is. This is my gut. I set these lineups weeks. I've got my lineup set for the rest of the season already. Already, guys. Planner. You talk about planning. I plan. All right. I plan ahead. If you don't plan, you're planning to fail, right? Failure to plan, planning to fail, right? And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. That one piece right there, I couldn't live with myself if I swapped in Ricky Pearsall 5 minutes before kickoff, Judy's playing at noon, and all of a sudden Judy gets an 88-yard touchdown on my bench. I couldn't live with that. And sure enough, that's exactly what Judy did. And, I'm thankful for it. Honestly, it wouldn't have made a difference at the end result of this matchup. But like I said, guys, we're playing for points. That 6th seed is hotly contested, and every single week matters. Every single point you score or leave on your bench matters. It's going to matter here in the next 3 weeks at the end of the season whenever we figure out who's going to get that 6th seed. And this was a huge step in the right direction. Obviously, I left 18 points on my bench last week. I couldn't leave 27 on my bench this week. And, am I being too loud? Sorry, I should close the door. I'm passionate about this, guys, right? I'm passionate about what I do, so about what we do. So anyway, huge win. Got to keep winning. Got to keep winning. Got to keep making moves to win. More on that later. Next here we got only one team below 100 points this week, so pretty good week scoring wise, really. The Dirty Birds win 152-101. Plunk moves to 9-2 on a 4-game win streak. Just ho-hum. It's a pedestrian. It's gotten, I don't know if Connor even really cares about this league, how easy it's become for him over the last month. I mean, he's just cranking out 140 points, 150 points. You just, like he's cranking his hog on a Tuesday night, So, and he actually undershot his projection by 6 points, which is crazy. But, I mean, Mixon just continues to be a monster. I mean, he's number 7 overall in fantasy, or number 7 overall running back, and that's despite missing 3 full games he didn't play, and really he missed a large portion, I believe, of that Bears game as well. I mean, he's just pumping out 20 points. I mean, he got 37 points. For Achane continues to be great as long as he can stay healthy. That's a big if for him, but he's done it. He's done it all season. Jefferson, London, and Odunze kind of little, just mid-average weeks from them. Disley's been great, 19 points. I mean, he's had 19. I guess that's been his best game of the season, of course. Connor picks him up and he turns to gold. With McBride being on bye, Evans on bye, Neighbors on bye. Not really a lineup decision to be made for him. He has to throw in Chubb, and Chubb, I don't think it's not going to be this year for him. Unfortunately, that the game script kind of got out of hand pretty quickly there for the Browns, so they had to go to pass mode. And, for Wilson, I mean, Saquon and Lamar, right? Kind of the two lone bright spots on his team, right? What would happen to his team if he were to lose one of those players, right? What would happen? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more on that later. But, for Gesicki got a gooser after being pretty consistent and with some really good games sprinkled in. But, that's just kind of the nature of the tight end position. He leaves Swift on the bench. I get it. He had 4 running backs that were startable. He does go for 17 points. Tough matchup. I don't blame him there. Valdez-Scantling left on his bench. Gets one long touchdown to really kind of boost his day. Deontay Johnson on the bench. Sam Laporta was injured, I believe. Should be back this week, hopefully, for him. Lockett, nothing. Mooney, nothing. I mean, really, without Saquon, this is a very bad week. This is a very, very bad week. And this could potentially be a very, very bad team, potentially, without Saquon. Maybe one of these guys, maybe, I don't, more on that later, right? I'm getting ahead of myself. So, it's tough to see for Wilson. Obviously, he's now on he's just lost one game here to fall to 5-6. Oh my God, he's out of money. Is he the first guy to run out of money? He spent all of his money today. Whoa. That's dangerous. Does he have He doesn't have a backup quarterback. This is Savoy watch now. Holy shit. He doesn't have a backup quarterback. Lamar hasn't had his bye. Oh no. Oh no, Wilson. Oh, I'd love to be playing him in week 14. Oh my God. Has Laporta, they've had their bye, right? Lions have had their bye. Wowzers. He's out of money. And he has no backup quarterback. I don't know if he even realized that. Wow. Okay, well, we'll cross that bridge here in a couple weeks. Anyway, moving on. All you need is love. Huge game for him. highest point total on the season, 171 to 124 against doesn't contribute. Rip somehow finds his way to 4-7. For Craig, he's now lost 2 in a row. Tick, 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 tick. Jeff Fisher alert. He's now 6-5. He's 1 game away from that magical record. You'd hate to see it. Everybody's been saying you'd hate to see it. I don't know, Jim. I don't know. For Rip, really great game. Brees had a monster game, a couple tutties. Jordan Love had a good game, not as good as quarterback he left on his bench. It's funny. Rip and I were talking over this Sunday morning. We were both happened to be online on PlayStation, and he invited me to a party. I joined, of course, and just talking life, talking shit, and fantasy, of course, comes up as it's one to do, and he's asking me about lineup. Well, maybe he's not asking me. I'm telling him because I love to give people my opinions on things, right? They're usually wrong, but not nefarious. I'm not trying to give bad advice. I'm trying to get, hey, this is what I would do, right? Take it at your own risk, right? He benches Goff because, I was like, well, Goff, damn, that game against Jacksonville could get out of hand. They might not need him. It did get out of hand. They ran the score up. Goff has 52 points on his bench. Although he did not listen to me, I did say he should bench Addison for Madison. He didn't listen to me there. He did end up benching Addison, maybe because of that, and put in Christian Watson, who actually scored more points. Jameson Williams, Cooper Kupp, Jennings. All 4 of his wide receivers were over 20 points. That's amazing. That's incredible right there. And the way Juwan Jennings has been playing and he's the wide receiver 1 there. He is the prime target. Now with Kittle coming back, maybe that will level out a little bit. Is Pearsall going to get goosed again this season? Probably not, right? Is Watson going to be 20 points? Probably not, right? There's going to be, you never know which wide receiver in Green Bay is going to be the guy. Kupp's going to continue to be a beast, but, 2 tutties, that's your regular. And Jameson really, he caught, a long touchdown as well. So, I think Rip's team is okay, right? I think I said last week that he's kind of the clear front runner for horse ass. This week proved a lot to me. Anytime a team is capable of putting up 170 points, that means they're capable of doing it again, right? In theory. Will Rip get to that mark again? Probably not. But, he could have been over 200 points this week, or pretty darn near close if he set his optimal lineup. So, really for Rip, I think the running back is going to be maybe his biggest hindrance. Brees has been kind of up and down. With Jonathan Brooks in the mix now, is Chuba Hubbard going to be able to sustain what he's been doing so far this season? Madison, again, he's a Jag. He's just a guy. So I'm probably like 5 minutes away from the trade. So I'll let you know. Appreciate you checking. For Craig, running backs disappointment. Kyron has been pretty abysmal the last couple weeks, or last 3 weeks relatively to what he had been doing. Love to see that. Gus Edwards, he's forced to start Gus Edwards. I guess not forced. James Conner on bye. He doesn't want to start Javonte after last week. I get it, of course. Sean Payton up to his tricks. Javonte scores 20 points this week. What are you going to do? Elijah Moore on the bench, 20 points. Huge was okay. Zay Flowers was okay. AJ just okay, right? JSN looks pretty good. 10 catches, 110 yards, pretty damn good. Goddard's been okay as well. Having to deal with no Kincaid. But Craig's got a solid team. Josh Allen had 35 points, surprising. Thought he would struggle a little bit more against the Chiefs, but he didn't. 35. He's been on quite the heater the last few weeks. Obviously going into a bye, but he really hasn't had a bad game since like week 5. So, but again, he's on bye coming up. So we'll see how Craig navigates that. Next, we got Living on Burrow Time beats the McCockners 131-103. Thank you. Hawk gets to 7-4. 2-game win streak for Hawk. JD now he lost after winning last week. The fraud meter continues to rise for JD. Unfortunately for him, I mean, I don't want to say bad things, Shady, but your team it's a fraud. It's fraud. It's a fraud. 6-5. JD has scored the second. He has the second least amount of points scored on the season by only 4 points. He is almost dead last in points scored, and somehow he has he's middle of the pack in points against, right there, about 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. He has a negative 135 point differential, and somehow he's still 6-5. I've got a negative 15 point differential, but I've got the 4th most points scored in the league. I've got the 2nd most points scored against. That's why I'm 5-6. Some guys have all the luck. It was Rip last year. It happens every year, right? It happens every year. This is nothing new. For Hawk, obviously carried by Burrow and Chase again. That's the backbone of Hawk's team. Hawk's team is going to perform as Burrow and Chase perform. When they disappoint, his team will disappoint. His team will lose games, right? Pickens was solid. Josh Downs surprisingly solid with A-Rich. Gabe Davis on the IR. He did pick up A-Rich, just as a backup. He'll probably never play him. He didn't have Kittle this week. Was forced to start Dalton Schultz. Bigsby. Maybe that magic is lost. Justice Hill, Roschon. Hawk has no bench. He has no depth, period. I don't even know that he has a full, solid starting lineup at this point. I don't. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Hawk to maintain the level of success that he's had. And it wouldn't be surprising to me if he somehow slips out of that 2 seed. But Burrow and Chase have continue to win him games. And if they can continue to win him games, maybe. And like I said, for JD, Nico, obviously a little bit limited, I'm sure, in his return. Only 10 points from him. You got to expect better days are ahead. DJ Moore maybe looks like he's going to start bouncing back a little bit. Hawkinson came crashing back down to reality. Didn't really need him. But no Kyler, no Rashad White for JD this week. Amari kind of up and down, right? Gibbs was great. Aaron Jones disappointed. Geno, again, he's probably not going to start Geno the rest of the year. Only 22 points from him. So JD's an okay team. It's an okay team. Is it a playoff team? Personally, I don't think so. But, we'll see. It's not my decision to make. So, and then our final matchup, we had Kickers Lives Matter versus Father Figures. And boy, should have taken the total under in this one. These two teams were projected 154, and 141. And they scored 114 and 97. Your dog shit. Throw up all over themselves. Fall asleep with a plug in certain areas. Look how fat that squirrel is. Team of the week. Josh Ford, the Father Figures. 97.75 points. This is what Josh loves to do. He's back to his roots. He's back to his roots. Scoring below. This guy, no team scored less than 100 points more times last season than the Father Figures, Josh Ford. So it's something he loved to see. It feels home. It just feels good. It just feels right. You know what I mean? And for Duncan, does he deserve to win this week? Absolutely not. 4th lowest scoring team this week. Somehow, some way, he's on a 5-game win streak. On the opposite side of the coin, Ford's on a 2-game losing streak, falls to 4-7, looking very much like one of the worst teams in the league, to be quite frank. Neither one of these teams really look great. Obviously, Russell Wilson, not good, 12 points. Kamara was back down, 15. Kennedy, 15. CD somehow found his way to 20 points. Devontae Smith continues to be miserable. Pop Douglas is just a mid guy on a bad offense. Ferguson's bad, questionable. Michael Pittman, doesn't have a guy who knows how to throw the ball. He spent all that money on Tua. He picked up Tua this week, or was it the week before? I think it was the week before. Doesn't play him. Tua drops 35 points. He's got Keon Coleman out. Zach Ertz had 20 points on his bench. Obviously, you got to keep. I guess you got to keep rolling with Ferguson. Do you? I mean, it's Cooper Rush. Do you really? I don't think you do, but God bless you. Obviously, no Wandale. He's got two little scat backups. Running backs on his bench, and D. McCardo and Jaleel McLaughlin. It's funny. It's kind of telling to me a lot of the guys who comprise Ford's roster kind of tells me a lot about his tastes. A little bit maybe a little bit of a little smaller guy. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit of an otter or whatever that's called. I don't know if the T word is politically correct or politically appropriate. So I won't say it, but maybe like a very famous Little Debbie snack, one of the most famous Little Debbie snacks, maybe, and you just drop the IES at the end. You know what I mean? Maybe that's more Ford's taste. It seems to be, just looking at his roster composition, that might be the way that he likes things, maybe, which makes sense because Ford's obviously a very big, very powerful, very large man, right? And so obviously, opposites attract. So I think it might make perfect sense there. For Duncan, ho-hum week for him. Jacobs had a really great game. Purdy continues to be really good. 26, solid, not great, but solid, very solid game. Ramondre was 13 out of your RB2. It's okay. You can live with it. Terry stinks. Tyreek maybe looks like he's getting going a little bit, potentially. He's certainly riding out with him. He's got torn ligaments in his wrist. Hopefully that won't come back and rear its ugly head. Ridley was just okay, kind of back down to reality some. Kelsey, yuck, stinks. And Jacoby kind of also came back down to reality. So, for Duncan, you didn't have Otton. He's going to be starting Kelsey and Otton pretty much the rest of the season. That's for sure. His wide receiver room, when they're on. They're very good. They've been extremely inconsistent so far this season. His running backs, a little bit to be desired, right? Jerome Ford, Tajay Spears, Khalil Herbert. He's really just got two running backs, right? He's got two. That's it. Potentially maybe he could, he wants to sit on Tyreek. That's fine. He can sit on something else for all I'm concerned. It doesn't have to be Tyreek. It can be somebody else, right? It could be Terry. It could be Terry, right? So let's keep some dialogue going, buddy. All right. If it takes a late night snap, it takes a late night snap. You know what I mean? Desperate times, baby. Whatever it takes to win. So, but anyway, good for Duncan, right? Good for Duncan. He's now 7-4, and he's in a really good spot to make the playoffs here, despite barring an epic collapse of epic proportions. And he honestly has a pretty good shot of maybe sneaking his way into a first-round bye. So, for Connor, he's obviously already locked up a playoff spot, first team. More likely than not, pretty much have locked up the number one overall seed, if not a first-round bye. I'm just looking at things here, even if I guess if Hawk and Duncan were to win out and Plunk was to lose out, he could fall out of the bye. But more likely than not, he's got a first round bye pretty much secured. So, all right. So obviously we've had a couple trades. Trade deadline week, right? It's always exciting time. The first one we had was yesterday. We had trade between two old buddies, two old Duke guys, and Duke boys are at it again, where Hawks sent George Pickens and Tim Fab to Nick for Jalen Waddle and James Cook. I think it was I think it was a solid move for Hawk. Obviously, like I just said, right, his depth was very concerning. Now, obviously, you're getting a big downgrade in wide receiver between Waddle and Pickens, what Pickens has been doing the last several weeks. But for Cook, I mean, it's a huge upgrade, right? He basically spends $10 for James Cook. I think you take that any day of the week, right? So I think it's a solid trade. It doesn't really move the needle for me on how I feel about either of these two teams. For Nick, I think he was already pretty solid at wide receiver. I'm not really sure it was a necessary move for him. I think he really needed running back probably a little bit more than he needed George Pickens, especially the way James Cook has been playing this season. But for Hawk, obviously he loses number one wide receiver, right? But in turn, he gains running back who is on bye this week, so short term, not good, and it doesn't help him short term. He's still having to start Raheem Mostert, but going forward, being able to start Derrick Henry, being able to start James Cook, kind of gives him a little bit more complete starting lineup. So, I see the vision there. And then our second trade that happened today, right before waivers ran, between myself and Flo's Fury. This is very interesting, right? So Wilson, Wilson sometimes plays his cards close to his vest, right? So I haven't reached out to many people this season about trades. I have reached out to Duncan. I've talked to Duncan. Blaine's talked to me. I haven't really talked to him seriously. He's not really serious when it comes to trades. Sometimes. I'm trying to think. I texted Ford a couple times. He just leaves me on red. He's not he's not serious about winning. He's not a serious person. You hate to see that, but that's the life he chooses to live. I think that's about it. Maybe Nick and I have kind of flirted a little bit. Rip, pretty quick shutdown talk from there. So Wilson reaches out to me today, and he's asked me if I'm interested in trading for Saquon. Saquon's a great player. He's a hell of a player. Some might say he's the number one running back in fantasy. Some are saying. I'm not. Some are saying that. That's what I've heard on the streets, right? I said I'd be open to it, of course, right? Who wouldn't? Who would say no to a player like Saquon, right? Just depends on the terms, right? You gonna want half my roster, or what are we gonna do? So yeah, you can come on in. It's time.
You're not my boss.
Step into my office.
You're not my boss.
I said, yeah, I'd be open to that, depending on the terms. And it was weird. I was randomly thinking about. I was actually thinking about a day or two ago about a trade between Wilson and I. Didn't reach out to him, didn't talk to him, just kind of kept it up here. I didn't think that it would work. I didn't think it would fit our needs, right? I told him, hey, I'm trying to upgrade wide receiver. I'm not sure that this makes sense for me. I'm not sure it makes sense for you because, you don't have an alpha number one wide receiver at that position. That's really kind of what I've been trying to go after the last few weeks unsuccessfully. He said, yeah, I'm trying to nab one of my wide receivers. He's trying to nab one of my guys, and which, I said, okay, well, let's go fish, right? Let's go fish. Which one? Out of curiosity. Sutton, potentially? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Sutton's been on a heater. He's been on a hot streak. He said Sutton or Judy, right? Maybe I'll add Bucky to the trade, right? Potentially. So Judy and Bucky, right, for Saquon. Just spitballing terms. He's kind of wanting Sutton over Judy. I get it. He wants to sub that out. I get it. I understand. What if we swap Bucky for JT? JT, all pro. The Commish has his jersey. The Commish wore his jersey to the draft. This guy's got to be good, right? The Commish doesn't buy jerseys of bums. I don't have a Juju Smith-Schuster jersey in my closet. I don't have a Calvin Ridley jersey in my closet. I don't have a Treylon Burks jersey in my closet. Right? Elite guys. Game-winning, league-winning guys. JT is that. And I say, hey, maybe just throw me Keenan Allen, right? He said, Jonathan Taylor? Like, yes, I'll take JT and Judy, and I can send you Keenan. I said, with Saquon? Sent the terms? Yes, sir. I like it. Send it. Handshake. Pleasure. That was smooth. It's a win-win situation. It could be. Any trade could be a win-win. If Saquon blows out his knee over the last few games here, it's going to be a win-win for Wilson. If Saquon does not, Jonathan Taylor has one of the hardest schedules left on the season. He has a quarterback who is going to steal more touchdowns from him than Jalen Hurts steals from Saquon Barkley. Keenan Allen, Jerry Jeudy, you could probably call it a wash. Judy's been playing very well. He probably just had his best game of the season, selling high on him. The Cleveland Browns wide receiver schedule is also going to be extremely hard the rest of the season. I was probably not going to start either of these two guys the rest of the season. I've been trying to flip JT for weeks. For weeks I've been trying to offload him because I saw this shit coming. All right? I saw this shit coming. And, for as much as I want to say that this is a nice, fair, even deal, this took no time at all for me to think through. This took no time. It's Saquon Barkley. Come here. What do you mean? Yeah. So here, right? So an unbiased opinion, right? What do we think about Saquon Barkley and Keenan Allen for Jerry Jeudy and Jonathan Taylor?
I definitely think it's a steal deal.
For who?
For you.
Oh.
But I think he's also getting a good player in Jerry Jeudy. I don't know about JT, and I don't know about Keenan Allen. I mean, I feel like they're pretty equal, but I don't think Saquon and Jeudy are equal. But he's still getting a good player. I don't know what Jeudy has done this season.
So here's Jerry Jeudy. He's number 35 wide receiver. So that's what he's finished weekly at his position.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, except for last week.
This looks so ugly, though. I do not like this.
You don't like Sleeper? Yeah, you like ESPN.
ESPN looks
Yeah,
much better.
this is what Jonathan Taylor's done.
So Jonathan Taylor's not as bad.
Yes. Here's what Saquon has done.
It's
1, 1, 3, 1, 2.
Okay, what about Keenan Allen? He's not that good.
Not been very good at all.
So I think I told John earlier before I knew all this that I thought it was going to be 50-50. Close to 50-50, not 50-50. It was going to be leaning towards John, obviously, but it's not leaning towards John by much, is the way I look at it.
But still leaning towards me.
Yeah, still leaning towards you. But, Saquon, knock on wood, sorry, don't want to burst your bubble.
He could get hurt.
He could get hurt. He gets injured all the time.
He could get hurt, right? You never know.
Argument.
You never know. Anybody could get hurt, right? And that's why, you can't judge trades right away, right, guys? But now, I will admit, on paper, right now, as things stand today, it's pretty much a smashed success for keeping the faith. So, famous last words, am I right? This pretty much is guaranteed that he's going to get hurt, right? So, waiver wire claims, obviously Adam Thielen goes for 14, all of Wilson's remaining fab. Hope he's worth it. Blaine was in for 9, Nick was in for 7, I was in for 5, Ford was in for 1, Jonnu Smith, 8 fab to Nick, Savoy's in for 2, Blaine's in for 1, Savoy picks up 7 fab, Kendrick Bourne, Nick was in for 4. It was quite interesting to me. I was talking with Savoy briefly too about trades. He's like, there's just nobody on my bench that I can cut. My bench is too valuable. He drops Jordan Mason and Demarcus Robinson and Ray McLeod. He goes and picks up the most guys of any team this week. Finally spends that fat wallet that he's got from all his fab winnings. Michael Wilson, 4 fab to Blaine. Savoy, 2 fab. Lucas Schoonmaker drops Ray McLeod. Savoy picks up Stafford, drops Demarcus Robinson for 2. Craig was in for 1, and Craig ends up getting his consolation quarterback bye week fill-in of Sam Darnold. So, And then Plunk also dropped Will Disley to make room for probably Mike Evans coming back, I'd imagine. Or somebody on his IR coming back. So, anyways, let's move on here. Start off with the... he's going to play this week, right? Yeah, he's probably going to play. We'll start off with myself versus All You Need Is Love. I'm currently projected to win 162 to 119. Man, that's nice to see. It's really nice to see. Will I get there? I doubt it. I'll probably be in the 130 range. But obviously, Rip is one of the prime hits of By-Mageddon here in Week 12. No Travis Etienne, no Breece Hall, no Kyle Pitts. He's forced to start Isaiah Likely. He's forced to start Madison and Hubbard. There's a lot of red, a lot of orange on his lineup this week. I think he's going to have a solid game. I think it's probably going to be. I don't think I cover minus 43. It's a big line. I don't know that I have that in me. But obviously with Saquon and McCaffrey maybe rounding into form, Herbert playing one of the worst pass defenses in the league. You just gotta hope for the best. So I'll go with myself on that one. To lose this game it'd be devastating. It'd be a heartbreaker. It'd be a backbreaker. I don't know that I could financially recover from, to be quite honest. So it's a must-win. Every game out for me is a must-win, to be honest. I don't want to get the points qualifier. I want to get in on record. I want to earn it the old-fashioned way. I'm an old-fashioned guy, right? Clearly. Cheers. I don't want to have to get in on some newfangled fancy rule. So, which I think is an uphill battle for me to get anyway, despite this trade. So, but my team's obviously very, very, on paper, it's very, very good right now. It is. Wide receiver, I still think that's the question mark. My running back room is kind of my backbone right now. And if they stay healthy and perform to the level they're capable of, things will be okay. But if they don't, and the wide receiver room kind of comes back down to what they were earlier in the season, I'm not going to make the playoffs. I'm going to contend for horse ass. So that's just the simple facts of the matter. Next here, I had an idea on what was going to be the game of the week. I'm pretty sure I'm still going to stick with it. There's a lot of wide spreads this week. A lot of wide spreads. And I wonder if I should just do that. Just for fun. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to pivot. I'm going to pivot away from what I thought was going to be the game of the week to I'm going to make a audible here. Omaha. And this guy was also just in the game of the week last week. So, and he scored 202 points, and I don't really need him to be doing that anymore. So, McCockners versus the Swamp Donkeys. JD's projected to win 142 to 122. Currently, he's got Pacheco in his lineup. Blaine does. He's projected 0 points. You got to think he's going to get at least 15, 17 points put on him whenever he gets activated. If he doesn't get activated, I'm not sure what Blaine does at the RB2. He probably will be lucky to get 5 points out of an RB2. So, but I think he's going to have a pretty good week. I think he's going to keep winning. It behooves both of us for JD to continue to lose games. Desperately need that to happen, so we're going to go with the Swamp Donkeys in that one. Next, we got Kickers Lives Matter versus Flo's Fury. Duncan projected to win 153 to 133. Woo. Tough matchups for Wilson this week. Tough. Judy's probably going to have Joey Porter on him this week. Jonathan Taylor against a stout Detroit Lions running defense. Can Duncan keep the magic alive? Can he keep the winning streak alive? Can he go 6 games? 6-game winning streak gets you in the Hall of Records. That's the minimum. 6-game win streak, 6-game losing streak. You make yourself into the Hall of Records, which is out of date by probably a couple years now. I really need to go back and do a serious audit of that. But I think he's pretty much fully loaded, back fully loaded. No real buys hurting him this week other than Brian Thomas, which he probably wasn't going to start anyway. So, I think I think Duncan does win this game here. Next, we got doesn't contribute versus the father figures. It's a tough one. It's a tough one for me. I hate seeing Craig lose. I hate that. I hate seeing that. Right? He's a good guy, Craig. He's my buddy. He used to live down here. We used to hang out maybe once or twice. Ford's team's not been good. It's not. This is like the immovable force versus the unstoppable object, right? Or whatever it is, right? Immovable object, unstoppable force, right? We got to go with Craig. He's got to bounce back. Craig's not going to fall to 500 against Ford. This is the bounce back game. This is the get right game. This is Louisiana Tech on the schedule, right? We'll go with Craig on that one. Next, we got the Dirty Birds versus the Golden Path. Connor, route, not even close. Don't even think about it. And then that brings us to our game of the week. Our Fruit by the Foot game of the week. Fruit by the Foot. This is Mini Feet. It's a little tiny, Erica loves little tiny miniature things, right? That's why she likes me, right? This is the berry tie-dye flavor. All of these in the box are berry tie-dye. It's a fruit-flavored snack, only 45 calories per roll. Of course, the first ingredient here is sugar. Great for you there. How many added sugars? Only 12% of your daily value of added sugars. Not bad, not terrible. It's got maltodextrin, which is not good. Corn syrup's not good. Pear puree, palm and or palm kernel oil, and then a bunch of other stuff that could probably kill you on its own. Distributed by General Mills. I don't think any of y'all have worked for General Mills, but maybe you have. You're supposed to peel from paper backing before eating. Don't eat the paper, Connor. If you're watching this, don't eat the paper with the Fruit by the Foot. You're not supposed to do that, although I'm sure it's a very great source of fiber. But anyway, yeah, the Fruit by the Foot, the official fruit-flavored snack of the Bring That Wood Fantasy Football League. And you already know what we're going to do here, right? If you don't know, you ain't been watching, right? So, get this thing on. Come on. Sticky, isn't it? Come on, get out of there. Let's see. Come on. There you go. All right. Whoop. Just like that. Yeah. Tastes like tie-dye. Yum. All right. So, two-tone hog mollies living on burrow time. Two guys that made a trade this week. Two teams that desperately want to keep winning. Obviously, Hawk trying to fight for that bye. Nick trying to fight to keep his slim playoff hopes alive. Two best friends, two battles of the Duke fans. Battle of the quarterback, you got Bo Nix versus Anthony Richardson. Obviously, Joe Burrow's on bye. James Cook's on bye. Jamar Chase is on bye. For Nick, he's got Braylon Allen. It's not irrelevant to say Braylon Allen. Chase Brown on bye. Garrett Wilson on bye. So both of these guys are dealing with some stuff. But we'll go with Bo Nix in that. Nick's former quarterback. You would hate to see that, wouldn't you? You would hate to see if A-Rich was to tear up Nick after Nick dropped him and cast him to the curb. Battle of the running back, you got Brian Robinson and Audric Estime. Wow. Versus Derrick Henry and Raheem Mostert. Push. I mean, if Henry was playing anybody but the Chargers, probably, I would probably pick Hawk, but no, push. Yuck. Gross. Battle, 123 to 124 is the projection here, fellas. This is the lowest combined total, I believe, on the season, maybe, let alone this week for sure. So, Battle of the Flex, you got wide receiver, you got Marvin Harrison, Pickens, and Tillman, two Thursday night guys. So Nick's going to know how his team's going pretty quickly. Versus Josh Downs, Jalen Waddle, and Xavier Legette. Why did I pick this as the game of the week? Push. Battle of the tight end, Jonnu versus Kittle. Battle of the flex, you got Jaden Reed versus Dalton Schultz. More likely than not. Nick's got 3 tight ends on his roster. Wow, good for you. That's brave. What a courageous warrior you are. Jaden Reed, right? Probably bounce back, I would assume. So overall, I think that if you're going to get Hawk, it's got to be without Chase and without Burrow. And I think Nick probably finds a way at the flex and at the quarterback, making enough of a difference. But estimates a very high potential to just do absolutely nothing. So, but we'll still go with Nick in that one. We'll go with Nick to get a bounce back, get to 500. So, anyway, Hogs are playing Louisiana Tech this weekend, 23-point favorites, something like that. I'm sure we won't cover, but we probably should win. We've done a pretty good job. That's not fair of me to say. We've done a pretty good job against bad opponents, unlike seasons past and coaches past. So, but you never know, right? So, anyways, that's all I got this week, fellas. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a good one, I think. These have been continuing to get good. Hopefully you're watching. Anyways, that's all I got. Good luck this week. Stay safe out there. And as always,